Good morning, everyone. This is another exciting Cal Jam podcast with one of my favorite chiropractors on the whole planet. As I've always liked to surround myself by some of the smartest people on the planet, we have Deed Harrison here, probably one of the most published chiropractors when it comes to corrective care and spinal health and longevity. I'm excited to have you on the program this year. Excited to be there this year, Dr. Deed.
Yeah, awesome, Billy, man. I am thrilled to be on this podcast with you.
And Cal Jam.
Yeah, and I'm thrilled to be, invited back to speak at Cal Jam again. This will be my third time speaking at Cal Jam, my fourth time attending, and I just love it, dude. I'm rocking with it.
And you're going to be talking about some postural issues people have.
Yeah, there's a general theme I always like to speak about, but I'm going to change it up a bit. I want to talk about, obviously, the spine and posture health connection, how it affects human health and longevity and human disease, and, make it understandable for everybody, not in research terms, but in understandable, scientific, but lay people terms.
Perfect.
And then I want to talk about some new research that I'm doing that I think will impact everybody. It's on corrective care, and it's some of the first studies ever to show spinal correction truly makes a difference.
Of course. And why is it that some chiropractors kind of diss the whole corrective care thing? I mean, a lot of times they say they don't get the corrections, but if they're not applying the principles properly, you're not going to get the correction. And the other thing is a lot of times people don't see people long enough to get those corrections. It's like you wouldn't go to a dentist and expect to walk out in 8 weeks with, perfectly straight teeth.
Yeah. You nailed a couple of key issues with that. Why do people diss the spinal correction? A lot of it stems from, number one, they're not trained to truly do spinal correction. And so they don't know how to achieve those correction results.
Right.
So when you don't achieve the results, you don't want to be held accountable to that type of model because it is what it is. It's either there or it's not.
Right.
And you can't argue with a before and after x-ray that don't change.
Right.
Right? And then the other side of it is, honestly, there hasn't yet been enough quality research that truly shows spinal correction is what is making the difference. We know it intuitively. We see it in case studies. We see it. The corrective care doctors, we see it. I mean,
right.
You know it. You've done it. And I know it. But we haven't had enough of these definitive studies that are very well done to prove it to the skeptics. You know what I mean? And some people, they're never going to believe it.
Right, I know that. People want to see my research. It's like, dude, I'm not even going to waste my time putting it up there because you won't even read it, Yeah. And sometimes I think a lot of those skeptics are just plants that go through the internet and just kind of diss everything. Sometimes I wonder if they're just Facebook plants that go in there and just try to make a muck out of everything.
Oh, yeah, and, and other times they're that chiropractic skeptic that they don't believe they're an insurance IME,
right.
or they work for whatever. They have some kind of bad taste as a chiropractor, and they just want to ruin the rest of the profession.
Right.
You know what? It's like, come on, man. As if the spine is not important for human health.
Yeah, dude, come on now.
Okay.
It's not rocket science.
Right.
Like you did that, I think your first year at Cal Jam, you just put a picture of a front view of the spine up and a side view of the spine and go, now this is not rocket science. This is how it's supposed to look. It's like,
that's right. Yeah, you don't have to be a freaking PhD.
No, you don't.
In mathematics and aeronautical engineering to understand that, you know what? We're not monkeys and we're not quadrupeds.
Right. Now, when is the world really going to get the fact that, I understand it, you understand it, and that chiropractic really prolongs life, not only quantity but quality. Obviously, if you've got poor posture, it's going to increase the wear factors on the spine and increase Wolff's Law and subsequent osteoarthritis. Why is it so hard for the world to grasp that concept?
It's not so much the world yet. I think that when you explain it to people and show them, I think the reasonable person gets it. The problem is the profession hasn't presented a proper united front with a logical description that is scientific but yet understandable.
Sure.
I mean, to me, that's the reality. When you show somebody corrective care, the CDP model and the CDP approach, people, unless you're that skeptic that doesn't believe in gravity, people go, yeah, I get it. That makes sense.
Right.
So, I mean, I think that's our internal challenge, BD. I mean, and that's why, that's why we need CalJam. We need everybody to get on board, at least with the idea that there is a proper framework for the spine and posture, and we should all be striving to achieve corrective care. Yeah, I don't care what technique you do, but you need to strive to do corrective care. And if you don't get the results, then you better try a different technique that does get the results.
Yeah, I mean that's the other thing that we have. We have certain factions in our profession that are, I don't know, you call them hate straights or whatever you would call them, where they feel like. I mean, I come from a real vitalistic background, but there's got to be some degree of mechanism in your technique to achieve your goals. And I come from a science background, so I like to see objective measurements that actually can prove to myself and to the person that I'm doing the corrective care on that we're actually seeing some type of structural results, which are going to obviously create longevity in the spine and nervous system. And if we've got longevity in both those systems, then we're going to have a longer, better life.
Yeah, that's it. And what you've just said, and I think I've said this before. Every time I hear the vitalistic and mechanistic, thing, I remember what my dad always said. My late father, Don Harrison, he used to say, "Where will your vitalism live when your mechanism wears out?"
Right, exactly.
And what he was saying is, I am vitalistic too. We know we're greater than the sum of our parts. We know we don't have it all figured out. But dude, I'm a mechanical engineer and a mathematician too, and I can prove to you that there are certain spines and postures that will freaking break down and cause health problems. I can prove it to you.
And shut your vitalism down.
And cause, serious problems with your human health potential.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like it's not a belief. It's like gravity.
Right.
You can choose to believe in gravity. It doesn't give a crap.
Right. And you can like run around and say you got to prove to me that there's gravity. Like, I mean, we've come to a point in science, and there's certain things I personally feel that we're never ever going to be able to research. And healing is one of those things that's really hard to research because there's so many different variables. And you may be in disagreement with me, and I'm big on research, but I just think some aspects of healing are not within the realm of even quantifying.
I totally agree. There's always this random noise that we can't account for, but there are predictable outcomes.
Oh, of course.
When we look at properly designed randomized trials, like I'm going to go through a really cool one with you guys in CalJam, and it'll blow you away. It's like everything that you've kind of known and you wish you would have seen, but now, or seen in a research paper, but now it's coming true. And when you see it, you'll go, there's no way the results can be that good.
Right.
But then you'll go, well, yeah, it's the way it is. But yet even in that, there's people that obviously don't fall within the predicted outcome. So yeah, I mean, there's a side of healing that's totally psychological and totally external, and there's that connection between the doctor and the patient. If you've got a real a-hole as a doctor, you're not going to respond the same way.
Especially if the doctor's intent isn't what it should be. And as far as, obviously, if you go into this thing with a goal of correcting the problem rather than just alleviating symptoms, you're going to get different results.
Yeah, and so those are the difficult things to study. We can try to design those types of studies and look at that, and we actually get ideas that the doctor's intent and compassion does play a role. That's why, those studies in the past suggested that medical doctors take acting classes.
Really?
Right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. There are studies that say medical doctors should take acting classes so they can pretend to care about the patients, because the patients noted that they didn't feel a connection between their MD like they did a chiropractor or a massage therapist. Yeah, those studies came out 1990s. One of them came out in the 80s. And I think one of them might have come out in the early 2000s.
So they got to act on their bedside manner a little bit then.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the human psyche healing component.
How much of healing, like you said, is psychological? Well, you brought up a good point, too, as far as chiropractic as a united profession. Do you think that's even plausible with all the diversity we have within our profession?
Honestly, I've been around this like you a long time.
Right, 30 years now. 30
Yeah,
plus.
for me, 20 years, almost 20 years. 20 years. I started chiropractic.
Yeah, but you've
At
been
like,
around it your whole life, dude. Your dad was a friggin'
yeah,
chiropractor, so.
right. So I think that part of us can unite. Enough of us can unite to make a difference.
Right.
But the whole profession will not, because there's such a spectrum.
Right.
And that's okay. I think we have to understand our differences too.
Sure. I
And,
mean, I
and
don't have a problem if somebody want to
yeah,
limits their practice to just back pain. I mean, it's not going to really affect me, except they're not really educating their people
yeah,
on the level that I think they should. But
right. Yeah, and then let's not condemn the people that do tend to take a longer term approach and be more vitalistic. I mean, this is the thing that I really hope occurs. But what you find out is there's evangelists on both sides of the equation. But the
sure.
reality is most of us are in the middle.
Right. I mean,
And
because the dental profession's been really, really good about communicating what they do. I know our teeth are important, but your teeth, and it doesn't carry a spinal cord and protect the spinal cord and nervous system. And for people to think that their teeth are anywhere in the same league as your spine is incomprehensible to me. And if we can start really getting the world to understand the significance and importance of spinal health, then it's a slam dunk that everyone should go to a chiropractor, just like everyone should go to a dentist. And our profession has been really weak about getting that out to them. And that's one of my visions with CalGem and having speakers like you up there teaching the general public these concepts, so they understand why they're going to chiropractor. Because how many times you hear this, like you're out somewhere, oh, what do I need a chiropractor for? I don't have any pain. It's like, well, dude,
right.
come on, we're not living in the friggin' early 1900s anymore.
Yeah, yeah, and the reality of it is, like the dentist analogy. I think the biggest thing is people can see the teeth.
Right.
They see it, right? But they don't see their spine. But here's the thing that we can do is we can talk about posture. We can talk about posture enough to where people make that connection about how posture and spines are interrelated, and they can see their posture. And when you make that connection with people, they're like, oh yeah, okay, that's why, right? So if we focus on what we can see with people, and then get
and
them
what
to
they can see with themselves.
Yeah, that's right. What they can see, and then understand the need for X-ray to actually view what the spine looks like, I think the connection will be made a lot easier. And that's what corrective care doctors really truly do. I don't care what technique you do, CBP, Petabon, whatever it is that's corrective care. We talk about posture, and we show them their spine, and we make the connection between the two.
Yeah, and the biggest epidemic I'm seeing posturally is obviously forward head posture. You look at, and I want to touch on this in a little bit too, is like you look at kids with their friggin' cell phones, and everything they're doing is promoting flexion of the spine. Yeah, exactly, and it's like not only they're nuking themselves every day, but they're also destroying their posture at a young age. And it's like I see it, and also from even birth trauma.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's absolutely true, and that's the reality. How do we change the public's perception? We start with kids,
right. What percentage of your practice is kids, do you think?
Yeah, we have a pretty good pediatric practice. It varies from 15 to 25%.
Yeah.
But we always have kids in here. We do a lot of scoliosis work, and so I really like to get kids with scoliosis and see if we can do better than watchful waiting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we do a lot of kids,
right.
And of course I have two kids. I have a 7 and 11-year-old. So they come in the office, they get adjusted. People see that, and they're like, "Why are your kids getting adjustments? Do they hurt?" And I'm like, "No, because my kid tells me that he wants adjusted. He knows it's time."
Right.
My kids are laying on the dental roll, and they know they're going to do corrective care. My oldest boy he's in jujitsu. You don't think that screws up your neck?
No, please, man.
No. Dude, these 10, 11-year-old kids are choking the crap out of each other, and it's controlled under the coach, but I watch it, I'm like, holy cow, man, I need to get every one of these kids under corrective chiropractic care.
Well, what about all these kids that are born through fetal extraction with it, whether it's forceps, it's vacuum extraction, whether it's C-sections, even the hurried and rushed deliveries in a hospital setting. That's got to create massive cervical problems.
Yeah, what is it now? 50% or more of births are now scheduled.
Right.
Yeah, and you're going to get a scheduled C-section.
Right.
Come on. I mean, that's crazy.
Well, how
And we
much
know,
research have you done on just trauma to the cervical spine from just birth process, if any?
yeah, I personally haven't done the research, but I've read a lot of it. There's several studies that date back, to the Harvard studies where they showed, forceps decapitation of kids.
Wow.
The grossest thing I ever read. I was 18 years old. My dad sent me to the University of Utah Med School library to find this article. I didn't know how to do med lines and search, so it took me, all freaking day to find it because I'm dumb and too stupid to ask the librarian for help, right? So anyway, I pull up the study and I start reading it. A percentage of kids or fetuses were decapitated at birth due to forceps. When they first came out with forceps, they didn't know how forceful the pull on
They
the
actually
baby's
pulled their
neck.
heads off?
Decapitated.
Wow.
Yeah, imagine, that as a report of findings after birth.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, ma'am, but we pulled a little bit too hard and we decapitated your child.
Right.
I mean, come on, you can look it up. It's a med publication. It's from the 1960s or 70s. I used to have it. It freaked me out when I was 18. I mean, that was one of the reasons, like, I'm not doing hospital births. I mean, at 18, you read that paper, you're like grossed out. Right? And so people don't believe that until you say, okay, go look it up. It's there.
Right. Well, can you send it to me? Do you still have it somewhere?
I got it somewhere. It's, I haven't looked at it for a long time. I can dig it up.
That would really bring the trolls out on Facebook if you put something.
Oh man, like yeah. So
you get the trolls too, don't you?
Oh, dude, I don't even respond anymore. I hate it. It sucks the life. It sucks the life out of you.
No,
so every time
you know what? It actually reaffirms that I'm headed in the right direction, and it really thickens my skin. And I just delete them and ban them. It's like. I get kind of, my fingers get sore from doing it all day, but it's just like, why is there such resistance? And I always say, why don't you guys just go to the CVS fan page and, go talk about all the drugs and the flu shots that you guys want to do. I mean, there's people there that think the same way. I'm not trying to save everybody. I just want to save people that are interested in change, giving people options. I'm not saying you have to. I'm not saying you shouldn't have a mammogram. Go do it if you want to do it. I'm saying, but there might be other ways that might be conducive to, better screening tools that wouldn't be as invasive.
Right.
And just getting people to eat right and live a different lifestyle than doping and having surgery. If you don't want to do it, and I talk about chemtrails and shit like that, which pisses me off because my whole sky's filled with that shit today.
Yeah.
And if you can't see it and you don't see what's going on, then stick your head up your ass. I don't care, It's like the reality is I'm trying to change those that are ready for some change and really protect human health. Not for me, not for you. I mean, we got kids, and they're going to have kids. I mean, if we keep going the direction we're going, they're screwed, dude.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly it. Hey, I tell people my kids aren't vaccinated, and I get banned from certain Facebook things, and I get chiropractors telling me I should never be allowed to speak in public again.
Isn't that unbelievable?
Because I don't vaccinate my kids.
And then I love this when the chiropractors say that it's not a freaking chiropractic issue. But I mean, I feel like I'm a health professional. I think I'm more of a health professional than any MD because I'm actually promoting health and not friggin' dope. And I think it's within our scope not only to teach people health concepts, but let them know the toxicity that's involved with vaccines. And then I'll hear the same thing about me talking about geoengineering. It's like, that's not a chiropractic issue. Well, if you're breathing that shit out all day and you got asthmatic people coming in and people with allergies and sinus issues and headaches, then I feel it's within our scope of practice to talk about things that are environmentally challenging human health. I mean, give me a friggin' break, dude.
It's giving people an option and a choice. A lot of people don't know. Like, for example, I got a good friend that's a CBP doctor. He was vaccinated when he was younger, going on a trip overseas. Nobody told him that there is a risk in his age group with this vaccine for shutting down the kidneys.
Yeah.
So he gets, vaccinated and bang, shuts down the kidneys, also screws up his pancreas, and now he's freaking insulin dependent and he's got to wear a bag. So, dude, come on. It's like, he even said, he goes, yeah, if I knew that was a possibility, I wouldn't have done it.
Right.
But nobody told me. And you look it up. Oh yeah, for that, at that point in time, way back when, that batch of vaccines, there was X amount of risk for causing, insulin dependency, pancreatic problems, and kidney problems. Hey, yeah, let me know what I'm getting myself into.
Right, and just try to get people to do their own research. I'm not trying to push do this or do that. I just want people to educate themselves rather than being spoon-fed by an agenda, by an allopathic model, which is a sick, dying model, which is great for emergency crisis care. I get that, but it has nothing to do with healthcare. And wake people up so that they can live better lives and not be just, I don't know, ramrodded into just bullshit healthcare.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's it too, and being a voice. Hey, you know what? I think it's important being a voice and being a beacon that says, hey, there is an option. Here I am. You know what? Anytime you do that, like for me, I'm in corrective care. I'm a voice. I'm that beacon. I get so much crap from, people, from, the true researchers, because I'm just a technique guru, right?
Right. Like we don't have the capacity for critical thinking because we're not in their whatever their league or that they think that they're in.
Right. No, and I'm unethical because I make money on CBP technique. Come on. I mean, CalJam, you know how much money you put into it, but
how much time? Jesus, that's like people like want to know like where's the money going? Well, Jesus, it's like a full-time job, dude.
Yeah, right.
I'm probably putting $500,000 into the thing this year, and it's like, they wouldn't cry if we were losing money, would they? They'd be friggin' happy. So, but the fact that you're making money is that they want to freaking throw daggers at you and piss on you and all that shit.
Right. And for me, the reality is CBP seminars, the actual seminars I do, I'm lucky if I break even on the event.
Right.
As a CBP seminar. Where do I make money? I make money when people buy my products, and now because we designed some really cool products for the spine, the dental roll.
Let's talk about the dental roll. In fact, that was on my bullet points here.
Okay.
How easy is that for somebody to utilize? I mean, I like my practice because I adjust people, then I have them do all their rehab, whether they do it at home or they do it here in the office. It's mostly unattended stuff, and I think that's important for chiropractors to understand because you can still, to some degree, have a volume practice and, not be bogged down by doing all types of therapies with people.
Right. Yeah, the dental roll is a very nice tool for what it is. I mean, it's one of the most, if not the most effective corrective care orthotic for changing the sagittal plane curves. And it's just the way it's designed. It fits this, the models we have for the spine. And the great news is we've got some new, clinical trials on it, true randomized trials that we've had to do because I am financially tied to it. I have to do independent investigations with outside universities on it. So now we know it not only works between you and me and the doctors using it, that see it, but now we have research that shows that it works. And it's so freaking easy for somebody to use. It's affordable. They can use it in the office. They can take it with them at home. You sell it to them for a novel fee. You make a little bit of money, and they save a ton of money because they're now doing things to improve the curve on their own.
Right. Well, you're not only saving them money, you're saving their friggin' life, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, okay.
I mean, how often do you use it with kids?
Yeah, kids, we're going to use it the same frequency, at least 3 times a week until we get the curve established. And then we'll go down.
Why just 3 times? Why wouldn't they do it every day?
No, at least. It depends on, you got a kid with a mild hypolordosis. 3 times a week is fine. You got a kid with a kyphotic.
Yeah, but if they do it every day, they're just going to get results faster, wouldn't they?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the reality is minimum 3, every day better.
Okay. I'm an everyday guy.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I mean, I encourage my patients to use it every day.
Because you tell them to do it every day, then they'll probably do it the 3 times a week.
Yeah, you're doing it 3 times. You tell them twice a day to do it once.
Right.
So the reality in some of the studies we did, 3 times a week was all it took on average to see good changes in the spine. But in 30 to 40 sessions.
Perfect.
So yeah, it's a great tool. And again, I want to make everybody know that I do profit on it, but it's
dude, what's wrong? This is America, man. Yeah. We're supposed to make a living. I mean, you got to buy food and you got to buy shelter and you got to buy bullets and guns and shit too. You got to go out.
Oh man, you're not kidding.
So what do you think about all the gun control stuff we're trying to push in America? You like that?
No way, man. I grew up hunting. Hunting was a lifestyle for me,
Right.
and it's a lifestyle for my family.
Yeah.
It's a getaway. It's not about killing an animal.
No.
That's the the end result, and we eat it always. The hunters are for me it's totally ethical.
Right.
But I have guns, and my kids know I have guns. They're locked in a 1,500-pound gun safe that I'm the only one in the house that knows the combination to.
Yeah.
And sometimes I even forget the damn thing.
Yeah.
So the reality of it is, but my kids, even if I did leave a gun around the house, they wouldn't touch it.
Right.
Because they know they've grown up with them. They've been around it.
Your hunting is like my surfing. It's
Yeah.
I mean, because if we don't go out and get out of this whatever we're doing all the time in our head shit, well, I know I would friggin' explode, dude.
Yeah. Hunting to me is connecting with nature and myself.
Yeah, right, and your God, whatever it might be. That's why I call surfing it. That's why I'm trying to get this book done called Surfing as Religion. I got to get on the book thing like you have. You've written how many books now?
What's that?
How many books have you written now?
I've written five proper textbooks and one kind of just what other people would call a book, but I call it.
What is that book? I don't know if I have that one.
Yeah, I wrote with some other colleagues of mine, some CBP instructors, Jason Hawes and Brandon Trujillo. We wrote a mirror image taping manual. So we took kinesiology tape and we just applied it to CBP postural analysis. So it's a simple book, but its simplicity is very nice because it's like, look,
simplicity.
Yeah, here's the postures and here's how we tape them. And nobody had done that in that kind of detail before, and that's the CBP approach. So that's the most recent book I wrote. It's more of a manual.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So it's not like a novel or anything, a nonfiction novel.
No. I'll give you a copy of it. But
right, thanks.
It's certainly not like my other textbooks. My lumbar rehab textbook. I mean, that's a proper textbook. You know what I mean?
I know and I have that one.
Yeah, there you go.
I just want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I know you're super, super busy, and I just want to also thank you for everything that you do for our profession, especially by substantiating what we do and what we know. And I look forward to years in the future, just you and I and the rest of us taking this chiropractic message to the world, bro.
Hey, I really, I appreciate that, and right back at you, man. You're giving chiropractic a forum and a voice.
Yeah.
And you give people like me a voice to share my message with too. I want people to know that research is not the enemy. Science is not the enemy. We can study proper chiropractic principles and tenets, and we can see where it leads us. Right. And luckily, it's been leading us that we're doing the right thing.
Luckily, it's just common sense to me. I mean,
right. Yeah.
It's like you said at the Cal Jam that one time. This is not. You put the sagittal view up and the anterior view, and it was like, this is not rocket science. What we do, folks. Come on, man. Yeah. All right, love and appreciate you, bro. I'll see you in March. Hey, one other question. When's Murphy doing your neurology thing at your gig?
Yeah. He's coming out in June to do it at my place.
Okay, I'm just already put me down. I'm there, bro. I want to come. I love that dude too.
Okay.
I just did his longevity program here in Orange County, and I loved it. And I haven't done his neurology.
Fantastic, man.
All right, man. Love you, bro.
Love you too, man.
Rock and roll.
Okay, peace out.
Peace out.
All right.